Hello, my friends. Today we're learning Baba Basra Daf Dalet. We're going to start 3 lines down, the last word in the line, Omar Abaye. So, Abaye is trying to bring a raya to the din of Rab Chanina. Rab Chanina said there's 2 ways how to clear a suffix from the Torah. One is by Roy, if you go after the majority, and one is by what's closer, like we see by when you find a dead person, you go to the closest village and they need to bring Egla Arufa. And Reb Chanina was mechadesh that if you go after Roiv, let's say it comes out Tor, and if you go after Korev, it comes Tome, you go after Roiv is stronger than Korev. That was the chiddush of Reb Chanina. Now Abaye says, I bring your eye from the Mishnah. Oma Abaye, af anon namo tanina, we learned this in the Mishnah. Tam shenintzah b'proizdor. Sfeike Tome shechezkoso min hamakor. So a woman in a body had 3 places. She had the proizdor, like the passageway. There's a makor, that's where the tome blood comes from, and there's the aliyah, that's where there's not tome blood. So, and the proizdor is closer to the aliyah and further away than the makor. And it says if you found blood in the proizdor, so, and you don't know if it comes from the makor or from the aliyah, so sfeika tome, it's tome shechazkosim in a makor. We take on that it comes from the makor. Even though that could come from the aliyah, and the aliyah is closer to the proizdor, why do we go after the makor? Because the makor, there's more blood in the makor than in the aliyah. So we could see that roiv is stronger than being close. You bring me a raya over there. Not only did the roiv from the makor, it's also more motzi to have dam in the makor than to have in the aliyah. And roiv motzi lekel man da'oma. Everyone agreed that if you have a roiv together with motzi, it's also common and also more against korav, it wins. Rab Chanina's chiddush was even when it's not motzi, you go after roiv. It says Rava, we're going to go with the pshat of the Maram and Tosfos in this continuation. The Tony Rab Chia, Rava is going to bring a raya from Rab Chia. Why? Because it's in the Bryce of Rab Chia, Dama nimtza b'proizdor, blood that was found in the proizdor, like it says in the Mishnah, Chayovim olov al bias migdosh. In the Mishnah, we said before, it's suffix. It's not clearly that it's proper tome. It says Rab Chia, it's proper tome. If a woman had dam in the proizdor and she went into the Beis Hamikdash, or she touched someone who went in Beis Hamikdash, we don't say suffix tome. No, it's for sure tome, and he has to bring a korban. And we don't say when you're suffix did that very, you can't bring a korban, or let's say chatos, because you maybe bring chulin azor. So if it's only suffix tome, you may bring chulin azor. No. You chayiv on it v'sorfim alav truma. If a woman like that touches truma, when you have a suffix truma, if it's tome or not, you're not allowed to burn the truma because maybe it's not tome. But here, no, you can burn the truma because it's vadai. So what's the raya from here? So Rav is saying, what's the chiddush of Chanina? Rab Chanina is Amora. We have a brayse of Rab Chia already saying that you go after the blood. You say this blood for sure comes from the makor and it's tome. So what? Even though that there's a kor of the aliyah, so it's the din of Rab Chia already, the din of Rab Chanina. So must we know that in Rab Chia the reason is because it's motzui and korov. Sorry, it's motzui and roiv. That's why you go after it. And Rab Chanina was mechadesh that even without motzui, only roiv and korov, you go after roiv. And says Rava, you don't have a raya from over here because this is a different point, because here it's also motzui. Now we're going to be gurus like the Bach. Omar Rava says Rava, a separate thing, nothing to do with what we're learning now, but to do with what Rab Chia said. Omar Rava, Shema min Rab Chia. From the saying of Rab Chia, you could hear plus 3 dinim. Shema min roiv v'korev. When you have roiv and korev, olach achar roiv, you go after roiv, like what Rab Chanina said. And in a minute, the Gemara is going to ask, what do you mean? Rava said you don't have a raya from there. V'shma mino, second thing, rubo deraisa, that when you go after roiv, it's a din deraisa, because if not, you wouldn't burn truma and you wouldn't bring a korban if you went into Beis Hamikdash. That's number 2. Number 3, v'shma mino isel to Rab Zera's din is true. The Omar Rab Zera, afal pishid lotois medinim neulois. Meaning, when you have a suffix, when you have 10 butchers in town, 9 of them are kosher, and 1 of them is treif, and you found them meat in the street, you go after roiv. So some people say that roiv is only when you have 2 roivs. First of all, the roiv that in the city most butchers are kosher, and even in the cities nearby, they're also most kosher. So even if they came out from out of town, it must be al pi roiv it's kosher. Only then you say it's kosher. That's one shitter. Betera says that even if we know that for sure that it's closed, this town is enclosed, or this country is enclosed, and there's only 1 roiv, afilu ochi you say it's kosher. You go after the roiv. How do we see the dinner of Zera? There's no second suffix. Maybe it came from another woman or something like that. There's only 1 suffix. Did it come from the Aliyah and it's not Tome, or did it come from the Makar and it's Tome? And we say you go after the Tome, so we can see you go after Roiv even if there's no 2 Roivs involved. Even here, what the Raya, you say a woman's like Glatis Nulos, you go after Roiv. Selling more of a Robo to come a Roiv Motsui. Lekremand Doma. Rava said before that there's no Raya from here because here it's Roiv Motsui. And therefore it's different than just Roiv by itself. And here Sunny Rava says, oh, you see a Raya from Reb Chia that Roiv, you go after Roiv. Olcher before Rava said this is Roiv Motsui. So the more Hoda Bei Rava Me'ai, Rava was choiza to say that it's Roiv Motsui. No, because Aliyah and Aliyah, when you have a suffix from either from the Aliyah or from the Makor is the Aliyah is closer as Korov. The Aliyah is Roiv, more blood comes there, but it's lav dafka motzei. It doesn't mean that it's more common to have blood more times in the Makoriv and the Roiv, and therefore it's only Roiv, so therefore Rava was choiz, and therefore we do have a raya from here that you go after Roiv. Itma Rilin, Chovish Yotzof Abanor, a barrel of wine that's floating in the river. Omarav Nimtzesk, and we suffix if it's Yain Esach or not. Omarav Nimtzesk can negate Irshur Yisrael if you found it next to a city that's Roy Yisrael Muteres, because we assume it's from a Jewish person and it's kosher wine. Connected Irshur B'Nochrim, if it's by in the river and by a town that's mainly Goyim, Asura. B'Shmur Loma Afilu Nimtzesk connected Irshur Yisrael. Asura, even if the town over here is Roy Yisrael, it's also why. Emo, we take on Mai de Korah Osi. Maybe it came from up the river, from a place called Korah, where there's mainly Goyim over there, not many Jews live, and therefore it might be Yain Nesach. Tzedek Morlema b'der Rab Chanina komifli gilet l'chorot the machlokes in Rav and Shmuel the machlokes of Rab Chanina. The Mar is the Rab Chanina. Shmuel holds like Rab Chanina, you go after Roiv and Keneged Korav, and therefore you go after Roiv, and most people from this place called Korah in the further away areas of Goyim, so we go after Roiv. Umar Leslie the Rab Chanina, and Rav said that we say that this wine is kosher, doesn't hold of Rab Chanina, and he holds that you go after Korav, and since it's Korav to the city, you don't go after Roiv. Something more like the Kula Alma Islu the Rab Chanina. They all agree that Korav and Roiv, you go after Roiv. Ba'akom if you give them Machlokes and Rav Shmuel something else. The Marsova in Isa the Ma'id the Korah Osi Akulu Pushuri Abe Matbilo. Rav holds we go after the city over here, because if it would come from the other area that's called Korah, on the way it would hit some rock or something and break, or there's areas where there's water that comes out from the snow that melts, from the snow melting, that the water sits over there, and this barrel would land over there and would sink in the water and would never continue to come all the way here. I mean, it's far-fetched to say that it came from a different area. It must have come from this city, and in this city we Roiv Yisrael, so we go after this city. It's even Roiv and Korov. Masovar, but Shmuel holds Harifa Denarad Noket Vasoy. Maybe he fell in current to the river, bang in the middle of the river where it's a strong current, and he came all the way here. So therefore, it could possible come here from somewhere else, and that somewhere else is more Goyim, so we go after the Roiv. Everyone agree, go after the Roiv, and therefore it's also to drink. This type of barrel, I think, of wine. The Shtakach Paradise de Oro was found in the paradise of grapes that were Orlo that were in the first 3 years of growing. Sharia Ravina. Ravina said you're allowed to drink it, and we're not choishes. I came from this vineyard, and it's Orlo. Lema mishunde kusava lo Rab Chanina. Lechera he holds like Rab Chanina because the people here are Jewish, even though that Korov it's close to Orlo Dike vineyard, you go after Roiv. So the more shiny also know there's no raya. It could be the doesn't tell the Chanina, but that's different. The imignav mine atnui gavei loy matznei. This is a barrel of wine that was stolen. So it doesn't make sense. It came from this grapes of these trees because the guy would steal the grapes and make wine, wouldn't hide it over here. It would be found. He'd hide it somewhere else. So it's probably from somewhere else. So it's not the Korov. We know it's not from the Korov. So we go after Roiv. But if it'd be Roiv against Korov, maybe you'd go after Korov. No raya. Something more of animili chamra. That's the thing that we say that the person doesn't, Ganav doesn't steal the wine where he stole the grapes. That's about wine itself. But in Vimatzny, a Ganav could steal grapes and leave it in the same place, hiding in the field where he stole it, and he'll come collect it later. Says the Gemara, Aniziki de Chamra. These little like barrels, they're not barrels, like type of little bottles of wine that were made, I think, from skin or something. Yeah, and it's noidos, it's made out of leather. The hammer, the Ashkechon Beikufoy that were found between the grapes, and it was a Jewish vineyard. Sharinu Rava said its mutter, Leima Losava Lokar Chanina. The more the world of Goyim, here it's Korov to a Jew, but it's Roiv is Goyim, and he says you go after Korov, not after Roiv, because he said it's kosher. So the Gemara, Shiny also, the Ruba, the Shubchoi, of Daladom and base, Yisraelim. Most of the people who pour big from the big barrel to small noidos to sell to people who pass, they're Jewish. And therefore, in these small, let's call them bottles of wine, most of the people who do them, who deal with them are Jewish. So therefore, even the Roiv tells you that it belongs to a Jew. They came from a Jew. Banimili says a Gemara Baravruvi, when we're talking about big ones. Aval Zutri, if the small one, the type of noidos that people who travel take, Amor, it could come from anywhere, from someone who came from somewhere else and walked through town or went through this vineyard from somewhere very far, because that's the type of thing that someone carries for a long way. So therefore, Roiv Oilam, or Goyim, therefore it's also. And when we're talking about bigger ones that people don't take on the journey, people just more in town or in the area take, and since in the area they're mainly Jews, so we go after the Jews. If there's small ones and big ones, so we said small ones, it's also, but if there's small ones together, big ones, we assume that it's part of the big ones, and like we said, the big ones we go after the Roiva people here because people don't travel the big ones. So also the small ones we assume that belong to the same person. The reason why I had the small one was because when they load the donkey, you want to have the same load on both sides. And if, let's say, one barrel of wine or something has more wine in it and heavier, you don't want to be unbalanced. So you put a small bottle or a small wine thing on the side that's emptier to have the right balance. So therefore, we assume all came from the same person, and since there's also big ones, we assume from the people over here. And since the people over here, Roiv Jewish, you go after Roiv, and it's mutter. Says the Mishnah of Daladom and base, Marchikim is Olon Ilon Minair, you keep away the tree from the city at the edge of the city, Esum Rechomesh Amo, 25 Amo, and the Gemara is going to explain for the beauty of the city that should be open the first Amos at the end of the city. When its trees are much bigger, Shikmo is, I think, a sycamore tree, Chorov is like what Rashbi ate in the Mara for 14 years. Chamishim Amo, because they're much bigger, you have to keep 50 Amos away. Kol ilan strak, any tree that doesn't have fruit on Chamishim Amo, you keep away 50 Amos from the town because it's not nice to have it by the town. If the city was there before the tree and then the person planted the tree, he cut down the tree, you don't have to pay him because he wasn't allowed to plant the tree. If the tree was first and only then they built the city, extended the city or built a new city, he still could cut the tree, but you have to pay him for it. Sofek the Kodam, we don't know if the tree of the city came first, he cut the tree, and you don't have to pay the person. The Gemara is going to explain. Says the Gemara, my time, and what's the reason why you shouldn't plant a tree 25 amas from the city. Omar Ula Mishum Noya area, for the beauty of the city to be open. At the end of the city, you should have an open area. The Tepu clay, why do we say that the Issa is because Noy area and the Issa is only 25 amas? There's a different reason. There ain't oisim soda mirgrosh, v'loy migrash soda. That there is a din. It's a Mishnah in Erechim that there is a din that at the end of the city you have a migrash that's the size of 1000 amo, and that whole 1000 amo you're not allowed to the migrash. You're not allowed to change it into a field. And the way we understand now, it doesn't matter if it's for tomatoes or for trees. So already 1,000 amma outside the city, you're not allowed to make a field. Why do we need to come to this chiddush of only 25 amma? There's already a different din. So the more the chiddush is lira below the doma oisim soda migrash soda. Rabbi Loza over there who argues, who said you could make a migrash into a soda, so you're allowed to plant trees anywhere in this migrash, even close to the city. Here the chiddush is that Rabbi Loza will agree that the first 25 amma, because of the beauty, you're not allowed to plant trees. And even Rabbono Nami Damrim Eino Soda migrash v'lo migrash soda, that you're not allowed to change. When we said you're not allowed to make into a migrash into a soda, it means a soda of vegetables. Avolinono is to plant trees. Aftinan, there's no problem in the migrash and the 1,000 tama. V'hochan, here the Mishnah is mechadish, but mishum no'ir, loy, that because of the beauty of the city, the first 25 amas, even trees you're not allowed. Says the Gemara, "Minot tamer, and how do I know the shani bin zroim le'ilono that there's a difference between planting vegetables and trees?" The Tanya, it says in the Brisa, karfaf. So to understand this, we have to understand if you have a house and it has a fence around it, the garden around it has a fence, it's a house, and however big the area is, you're allowed to be metaltel. It's a rishus hayochid. A karfaf is a place where it's surrounded, let's say, with a fence, but there's no house over there. So the din is that Beis Osayim, up to Beis Osayim, it's considered like a rishus hayochid, and you can carry. If it's bigger than that, it doesn't have a din rishus hayochid. So karfaf yosim Beis Osayim, bigger than Beis Osayim, so you can't carry in it. She'ukaf ledura, but it's for a house. So you're allowed to carry in it because it's for house. And Israel, if now most of this area was planted with vegetables, Aryeh kigino, now we look at it as a garden, not as a house. For Osa, now it's a garden with a karfaf that's more than Beis Osayim. It's also because it's all for the house. Nito ruboy, but if it was planted mostly with trees, Aryeh kuchotza, we look at that the chotza mutter, it's a house of a chotza. It's normal for a house to have a chotza outside with trees in the chotza, but to have a whole field of wheat growing, that's not normal. And we look at it more of a field of wheat, more than a house, and therefore it's also to be metaltal over there. It's not rishus hayochid, and we could see from here that there's a difference between what's planted. If it's trees, it's more suitable for a house. If it's wheat, it's not suitable for a house. So also the same thing, we're making a chilik that the first 1,000 amas that we said you're not allowed to make a migrash into a soda, it's dafka soda, they planting wheat or vegetables, but not when you're planting trees. Said the Gemara, we learned in the Mishnah, if the city was there first, you cut the tree and you don't have to pay. Ask the Gemara Shaila. Maishno, what's the difference? When someone had the burr and someone else planted the tree in his field and it's ruining the burr, we said koitzitz, you cut down the tree, and you have to pay for the tree. Why over here the ktoni koitzitz, you cut down the tree outside the city, and you don't have to pay. Omar Rav Kana, says Rav Kana, teretz, this is what people say. Kidra, the Beishutfi, it's a saying that says when you have one person making the cholent, it's going to be a good cholent if he knows how to make it. If you have a few people making the cholent won't come out good, even though each one knows how to make the cholent by himself, because each one will trust the other one. Oh, he'll make the fire bigger, he'll make sure there's enough water, he'll spice it, and therefore the pot is going to be not hot the way it's meant to, and not too cold, because each one's going to put a piece of wood once in a while, but no one's going to be on top of it. So therefore that's a saying. And therefore what he means to say over here, that by bor, the difference is, if if you don't pay, by borrow, it's a private person, one against the other one, he has the right to get paid. He's cutting down his tree, he gets paid. But over here, if you say that he only gets paid and only then he'll cut down the tree, because it's each person in the city owes him, he's going to go to the first person, he's going to say, go to the other one. He's not going to get the money for it, he's not going to cut down the tree, and it's going to be not beauty for the city that this tree standing. That's why we say you have to cut it off and you don't get paid. What's a kasha from Bor to our case of a city? Dilma, maybe there's a much more significant difference. Dilma, if you're causing a damage for all the people in the city, and we tell you cut down the tree and you don't get a penny because you're causing a damage to the rabbin. If you're damaging one person, your neighbor, then he has to pay if you cut down the tree. So that's said the Gemara Elo. The Gemara is happy with that terror. It's the difference between Hezek the Rabbim and Hezek the Yochid. If we learn the dinner of Kana about the saying about the not hot and not cold pot, as a Sefer Itmeh was said on the Sefer. It says, Ima ilon kodam, if the tree was first, koitzet, you cut down the tree, v'noisim domim. And then they pay. V'leimeluhu, the person who had the tree, you should tell them, I was here first, I deserve getting paid. So you should tell them, Avolu domi beresha, first pay me. Avolu beresha domi, first pay me. After I get paid, then I'll cut down the tree. You owe me this money. On that Rav Kana said, Omar Rav Kana, Kidra the Beishut, the saying we just said, that the pot won't get the right attention when you have too many people dealing with it. So here, if he only would get paid after, if you'll only cut the tree after he gets paid, he might not get paid because everyone's pushing in one from each other. It's hard to be tovea lots of people, and therefore the tree is going to stay there, and we don't want it. So therefore, he has to cut it down and go to Bezdin and sue the city. If we don't know if the tree came first, if the city came first, we cut the tree down and we don't have to pay. Similar question to we asked before. What's the difference from bor to omra? So we said if we don't know if the bor or the eights came first, you don't cut it. And here we say you do cut it in a suffix. If in a case where he for sure planted the tree before the bor, we wouldn't cut down the tree because he was first. Sveiko, if we don't know if he was first or not, we don't say cut it because we're suffix. We leave the tree there. Over here, whatever happens if the tree was first or the city was first, the cutting the tree is going to happen. That's the din. Whatever happens, we cut the tree. When we don't know what happened first, we tell him, for sure you need to cut. Go ahead. And if you're going to come and say, we owe you money for cutting down the tree because my tree was here before the city, we tell him, I see no problem. If you could bring me a raya that your tree was here before the city, we'll pay you. But until then, you do your thing that for sure you need to do to cut it. You wanted to give us money, bring a raya. Says a Mishnah, so Goren is a place where you have the threshold. It's a place where you have a pile of wheat, and then you separate also over there the wheat from its peel. So you have to keep away from the city 50 amo. And the reason why, and kavua, we're going to see in the Gemara what's exactly kavua. And the reason why is because the moit, the peel, causes damage for the people of the city. And also, it dries up the seeds of other people. Let's continue the Mishnah. A person wants to do a gur in his own property, he can't do it. Only if he has 50 amos from each side from this gur, he's allowed to do a gur kavua. And he should keep away from the plantings of his friends and from his niroi. Niroi is when you plow the field after the harvest, and you plow it to take out all the thorns, and then you sow it later on. So even from that you have to keep away. They shouldn't be mazik, and it's mashma the distance they have to keep. They shouldn't be mazik. It's less than 50 amma, and we're going to ask what's the difference between before we said 50 amma. So the Gemara, Maishno Reisha, Maishno Sefer, in the Reisha we said 50 amo, and in the Sefer we said it's mashma less than 50 amo. The Sefer is talking about Gorin that's not fixed, and the Mishnah is talking about Gorin Kavua. And the Gemara is going to explain the difference. What does it mean that's not kavua? The way that you do it, if you have a big goren and you need like a special type of spade, and you take the wheat and you throw it up to the air, and then it separates, the peel flies away and the grain lands. But when it was a smaller pile, you just leave in a pile and the wind does its job by itself. So if the wind does it by a job by itself, you could have it closer. But if you need this tool to use to make it, it flies further away, and therefore you have to keep 50 amas away. Rav Ashi Omar different teretz. Matam koma, matam amarchikim gorin kavua menur chamishim amo kedei shelo yazik. That he's learning in the Mishnah, when it says in the Mishnah, marchik min yosef chavero menur kedei shelo yazik, it's not nudin, it's a continuation. The reason why you have to keep away from his planting and from his Nero is the reason why you have to keep the 50 amel that we said is because they shouldn't be mazik. But it's not different shia. So the more Macy, it says, you have to keep away 50 amel. Like you keep away from the 50 amel. So you have to keep away from someone's doing or like type of big pumpkins, Kishuv, courgettes, Yosef and his plantings, Uminire and his plow. Shechaver, where he plowed in the ground. How much? Chamishim amo, kadei shelo yazik, they should be mazik. So it says clearly Chamishim amo, and it says the reason is they should be mazik. Bishleim Rav Ashi Micha, it fits in very good, because it says that there's one shia. Ela Abaye, it's kasha, because it's a shvekait Abaye. Abaye said that you keep less, and over here in the Bryce it says that the shear is always 50. So the Gemara kasha, don't know, kasha on Abaye. Now the Gemara wants to know something. Why do you have to do archaka? Bishleim and mikishur from the courgettes, from the pumpkins, the ozil afka v'osi belibe. The peel of the grains are going to go onto the flour of these vegetables, and it's going to make it dry and ruin it, and the fruit won't come out. Why to keep away 50 amma from his plow? What will this peel do anything to it? Amar of Abba bar Zavda, the itamer of Abba bar Zutro, it puts in a lot of waste into the niroi, all these peels, and then when the guy later on is going to plant his seeds in this nir, it won't be good, because the peels that are in there are going to make the earth not very good, and the plants will not going to grow. And that's why you need to keep away 50 amma distance. Thank you very much.